I'm a certified teacher, have a master's degree in administration. I taught at the elementary, junior high, and collegiate level. Then I moved into politics in Ashtabula County and ran against a 20-year incumbent, became the elected Ashtabula County auditor, was elected 3 times and served for 12 years. The county auditor is the chief financial officer for the county. We're into budgets, appropriations, how to handle debt. I won't need a learning curve when I get to Columbus because I understand government finances. Just a larger volume will be for me. Plus, one of the main issues that state government has to deal with is education. I not only know it from the teaching end, having raised 4 children, I also know it from the parent end. I'm ready to take off, won't need a learning curve.
Well, I was a former assistant county prosecutor for 12 years before I got elected. I served in the House for 3 terms, and I've just finished up my first term in the Senate, and now looking forward to my next term in the Senate. I think working on the committees that I've worked on, doing the work that bringing businesses like TJX, LG Chem, the new power plant that's going to be here, Lordstown Motors, working with Steve Burns to help them develop the electric vehicle of the future, working on the Voltage Valley. All of these synergies coming together demonstrate my qualifications. Economic development is one of my big ones. Obviously, continue working on the Voltage Valley, working with Youngstown State and Kent State Trumbull, Eastern Gateway Community College, Lordstown Motors, LG Chem, and GM to make our area the Voltage Valley. We have an opportunity to switch from being a steel manufacturer stuck with old traditional technologies and moving on the cusp of the new wave of automotive manufacturing, working with our additive manufacturing, YBI. It's a very exciting time to be in the Valley and very proud of what we've done so far and looking forward to continuing and building on that work.
The reason I am running is because the Ohio Senate is made up of 33 senators. 24 of them are Republican. It has been that way for 3 decades. When you send a member of the majority party, they sit at the table where financial decisions are made. I'm the gal who can deliver for the district. You think about 30 years, that is 15 budget cycles. Our 32nd Senate District here, the Valley, we have lost millions of dollars in economic development. That is just how it works. If you look at other areas like let's do Medina, let's do Chagrin, let's do Mentor, they're thriving. Why? Because they are sending Republican senators to the General Assembly, and we fight for our own constituents. I'm ready to tell them I'm going to make up for lost time in the 32nd Senate District. You will see some changes. Basically what I said about my opponent being in the minority party, best he can do is be 25th in line to get money returned to our districts. My opponent has been in the General Assembly for 10 years. What has he done? Why not take a chance on a Republican senator to see what kind of changes we have? I'm a hard worker, I'm a fighter, and that's the reason I'm running. I am tired of our district being neglected in Ohio. The only way to change that is to send a member of the majority party, which is the Republican Party. I'm also a supporter of Donald Trump, and I believe the citizens of Ohio's Senate District here are also, and they deserve to have a senator who reflects their values. All right.
Well, I think my experience, my relationships, and able to work on both sides of the aisle, my ability to work with business leaders to bring them together, working with education, whether it's YSU, Eastern Gateway Community College, Kent State, and bringing all of them together to be able to adapt to the new changing technologies that we're seeing. The Voltage Valley is a prime example. I think that experience alone helps me stand out heads and tails above any of my competition. Strongly oppose any idea of defunding the police. As a former law enforcement officer myself, I understand how important that is. If anything, I would add more money to law enforcement so they get the training that they need. So when they're put in these types of positions, they can handle it better. If you take the money away, you're going to take away the training that the officers need on how to deal with these situations. And I think that's probably the biggest problem, because we've seen cut after cut to local governments and police departments. They're not getting the necessary training. I would do the opposite. I would add more money to the police, because they're the ones on the front lines. They're the ones that are the first responders and are on the front lines. They need the training to understand how to deal with these very, very provocative situations.
Absolutely against defunding police. I have the greatest respect for all of our law enforcement people. I pray for them daily. They put their lives on the line for us. They're just normal people like we are. You cannot have their law enforcement defunded and have a civil society. And if you go out and actually talk to people, like I've been going door to door in the district, I haven't found people who are for defunding the police. They know their neighborhoods are safer with police. If anything, I'm for increasing their funding, if possible. I'm going to start with President Trump, because I'm extremely proud of what he did with our terrible trade agreements. He took NAFTA and changed it to USMCA, and that is wonderful, especially for the Valley. My opponent voted against USMCA. Now we have more concern for small and medium business. We have USMCA is great for our farmers. It's great for intellectual property. 1.5 million Ohioans have jobs because of trade between Canada and Mexico. Again, I'm going to return back to, by sending a minority member for 10 years to the legislature, like my opponent, we've missed out on millions of dollars of economic development, just because that's the way it works. When you send me as a Republican, I will be able to bring tax dollars back here.
Well, one is to develop our Voltage Valley and to use what we see developing out in Lordstown and that area, and then to build from that to bring in the ancillary businesses that are going to support them. I've done tax credit bills for businesses for tax incentives for electric vehicles that will help drive that industry. And as we drive it, more ancillary companies will come here and will start participating in supplying these, not just these vehicles, but the battery plant. And then you see Old Dominion, what's going on out there, TJX. So we have to continue to do that, to build on those foundations, those strong foundations. And I think that's what's going to carry us forward and give opportunity that we haven't had since when we had the steel mills in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and now we're riding a new technology. To be part of that now, I think, is the most important thing that we can make sure we develop and continue to develop moving forward.